Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Good start to the morning. CPI this morning. Pretty much saw the the exact move happen this morning, and annoyingly just traded too much size on some of my evaluation accounts. But on just to show you on my take profit, I don't know if I can even show you on this or not, but we managed to finally get the, I think I can show you this. Yeah, I managed to get the payout on take profit. I'm just going to try and see if I get screenshot up instead. Screenshot this. So you can see here, just open this. Managed to get the payout submitted. So those ones were, this is UK dates. So the 5th was last week, and then today's the 12th. So it's this is the US date. Sorry, it's just for me, it's slightly different. You have date and then, sorry, month, then date. We have date, then month, day and month. So anyway, this was the payout that I submitted today. So the actual net amount is at 4,240. The gross was like 5.5, which to be honest is a bit silly to lose that much just because of the 20%. But anyway, that puts me to 20,000 on the month with take profit. So if we can all give the video a like for that, that would be much appreciated. And just to show you the actual total there, so you can see that's the 16k. That was because you have to basically submit it, then it gets approved, and then you have to submit it again to be able to actually get and you can see that one's been submitted, and it says submitted. I think it said succeeded once it hits the Wise account, so I'll update you all on that. But anyway, looking here on the NQ, so just to go down to the half day, I'm not going to go onto the daily or the higher time frames. I don't think it's necessary. I think I've broken these extensions down so much over the past couple of days, if not couple months. So looking here on the NQ, we had a halfway back, which traded on the 5th last week, on last Tuesday, which was the weekly halfway back. That was inside all of this support, which is from a daily ATR. And you can see that ended up completing its 23 and 62. That is where we got stuck yesterday. So that was here, got stuck yesterday, and you can see pretty much at 12 o'clock lunchtime yesterday, traded that 62, took out these highs, and then just absolutely sold off. And we sold off into what is that high to high draw, and that pretty much lines up with the next daily ATR. So if you go to the daily, you can see the midpoint from the 2 times ATR to the downside on the 31st of July. That is pretty much where we are holding support at the moment. So you can see here, right, that is that level there. So the high to high 50 has held once, twice, three times, and you can see we've had that, as I always like to see, 1, 2, 3 go on the lows. If you go down to a 50-minute time frame, you can see what that looks like, and that is pretty much 1, 2, 3, and then you obviously had that expansion up. Okay, so that is what we had. That is what we have what we've had this morning. I didn't trade any of the news, but I did obviously tell you guys where we were expecting to go, and I had that 708s target, which is what I was trying to target yesterday. 708s, which is obviously looks a minor target now. In fact, that's the actual overnight midpoint. How crazy is my actual target is now the overnight midpoint? So yeah, that's pretty wild to see. Completions for us today, if we are going to complete this extension from the high to high that we're currently in, is 23,900s with ATR resistance up there at 23,949. So let's just call it 950s. If we do, for whatever reason, get below pretty much 650s, which again, I put that in the Discord this morning, 650s will be the pivot support, bullish above, bearish below. If you do break and hold below 650s, I imagine we can potentially see traction down to around, I would call it 23,400. So it would look something. And obviously we do have ATR down here, but I would be probably looking, I wouldn't really want to be short or long in any of this area here. If you did want to look at some sort of trade inside or outside of the overnight yesterday's net low, wouldn't be the worst idea. All I would be really looking for, if I was going to short this, would be a break of that and some sort of second retest to potentially get a movement down into that. And all that would look like is wait for the confirmation of that break of the previous day low, wait for that daily ATR midpoint to reject, and then get a second potential lower high, and then maybe there is a trade down there into that ATR low. If that's what, if for the short idea, if the shorts are going to trade, that's all I would really look for. In terms of the long side, it's pretty much for me going to see if we end up trading, because this hasn't yet completed. This could just be a same anchor new high in terms of waiting for a 50 to trade. So this draw that we're in has traded already once, twice already, right? Or technically 3 times, once, twice, 3 times. But it hasn't yet completed. So you could either go same anchor new high and wait for the 38 to bid, which is right above trend, which is what I would prefer, because this for me is like such a high risk to reward trade down here, because my risk is pretty much like minimal, but my reward is so much higher. So option 1 for me to the long side would be something like this. And I've got so much magnitude, right? Even if I'm wrong on this, 8 out of 10 times, I'm still going to probably make money on this setup. So this is what would be really, really nice. I don't know if we're going to get it, but if we do, I would happily take this. And if I get stopped, again, happily take the stop out and then it's a win-win, because most likely I would end up getting a short into the ATR lows. But alongside, that's probably what I would look for. If that doesn't trade, the only other situation that I think we may have is a 50 to 50, which would be from basically call it the overnight low to high. And that midpoint is what I just alerted to, which is pretty much call it, 711s, 708s to 711s, call it 710s, right? 710s is that kind of fair value, so to speak. And I'm just going to mark that out. So like 710s, right? I think that'll be a important level to see whether we hold above or break below. So kind of 2 options for a long in that area there. Okay, so that's kind of what I'd be looking at. And I mean, you could have a 1-to-1, but I'm most likely probably going to look for at least 1.5, which will just put you back up into these triple top highs, which is that negative 62, right? See how that negative 62 from last week's halfway back is sticking and so far holding, right? I don't think it's necessarily resistance that's going to take us much lower, but it could just be short-term resistance for the time being. But ideally, we hold these supports, 710s or 660s, and I think we do definitely have magnitude up to 900s for sure in terms of average true range. So that's what I'd be looking for the long side. I don't mind playing just back into these highs, back into these highs here and here. But if we can obviously get a much greater move up into this negative 23 at 23,900, obviously that is much better to do. And that's why I will trade micros and scale out in target. So I'll take some off at the high from yesterday, and I'll take some more off at that 23, and maybe even some more off at the actual average true range high of day. And that is to the long side. And obviously if it's going to be the short, I would just wait for the trend to break at 650s, wait for the overnight low to break, and I would then do something like, and I would try and wait for that confirmation that we are definitely selling off, and I would then look for something like this. And then that potentially brings me into a trade that would probably, if it works out, would probably look something like that. So still probably a 2R trade in all fairness. I think even if I just take out these lows, it's still going to be like a 1.5, 1.6 trade. So either any of these trades I will take. Just depends which one sets up first. And just depends how we open on the RTH open, because currently trend is up. And if we look at the other indexes, BX is green and has been green for the past 3 days on the NQ. ES, however, only just closed green yesterday. So again, not super bullish on the ES just yet, but weeklies are still green. trend on the indexes for the week so far. You can see opening up on Sunday, pretty much we are kind of just trading sideways so far. We are still, in fact, the NQ has actually completed an extension that I had drawn on here on last week. So actually NQ, interestingly enough, we have just completed entry, which was on Thursday the 7th, and that has just completed its 23. So interesting to see that extension, just so you can see that, guys. So we have potentially completed a long, and therefore if I do show you a potential short, like for example this, maybe has some steam. The only thing going against it is obviously the daily BX is green, so I don't really necessarily want to be shorting, but it is very interesting seeing that completion there at the 50 to that 23, and that was a trade that took pretty much 4 days to complete for 455 points with a risk of less than 40 points. So a really, really good trade. And that's why I say, like, these trades, you know, even if, for example, you're risking 75 points on a trade like that, your risk to reward here is 6R, right? Like, and you can just see that's a perfect example of a trade that has just completed, right? So these trades happen all the time. You just have to see them, and hence why be okay with getting stopped out, because if you've got a 6R trade, I mean, the risk to reward on that trade is so great. You could be wrong like 80% of the time and still make money. Not saying you want to be wrong 80% of the time, but my point is, you know, these trades are here all the time, and don't be disappointed if one of them stops you out every now and again, right? Because on the long term, we're looking for those bigger moves. So that was really nice. NQ completion there at 8.16. So that is important. I am actually just going to copy that extension onto my other chart just so you can see where that is. Yeah, so that is that 50 to 50. So you can see this is the traditional from last week, and we traded a 50 to 50 inside that. So that is the low of the overnight low on Tuesday last week. Overnight low on Tuesday last week. You could technically use the RTH draw only from Tuesday 11:30 to the high of Thursday. Even both draws are valid. Both of them have completed the 23 once. Yesterday and also again this morning. So both draws are valid. Be aware of them, because again, we could go into a same anchor new high, and that would bring you down into pretty much 560s. Sorry, 650s. Sorry, where am I? Here, this draw. It's because I've got the colors quite low. Here we go. So yeah, that would bring you down to around 550s and potentially even 470s. So just be aware of those levels. And if there's any questions, let me know. I will be in the Discord shortly. Everyone on YouTube, click the link in the description below if you want to see us trade live on Discord. And other than that, I will see everyone on YouTube, and I will see you all in the Discord shortly.